push-ups. Yeah.
But we should get you a clapper.
No.
That's awesome. I'm going to take a sip with my beautiful ceramic mug.
It is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So, what's been coming up lately in my world is what shall we call it? The art of receiving. in my very feminine dress. I'm ready. Having my drama moment. It's still a full moon. And it's my solar return week. So, the art of receiving, or the practice of receiving, or just receiving. Okay, so, I mean, it's been a theme for me, I would say most of my adult life. I don't remember this coming in as a teenager. Of course, I was also being supported in many ways when I was a teenager. Many ways I wasn't, but in many ways I was. And it started to show up when I was in my 20s because, I went into a very masculine world in New York City. Go knock on doors, make the phone call, just do it. And, speaking astrologically, I probably was working through a lot of the afflicted Aries planets in my chart. And New York really kind of supported that. And I was on my Mars line in astrocartography in New York. Yeah. My Mars in Gemini goes through Manhattan, goes through New York City. But I would definitely, looking in the reflection of this current life, I definitely see how this is a life where I not only am I learning balance with the polarities, the giving and receiving polarities, because I'm very giving and that's easy for me, and I'm very doing, that's very easy for me. But now in this mid part of my life, it's really about relaxing. It's a big theme. Letting go and just being open to receive. You don't have to do everything. And that's still a challenge. I mean, have I balanced it? No, I haven't. I work too much. But what I have shifted in towards the receiving polarity is absolute laughter and humor over my own overdoing. Like, I'm no longer like, I'm so tired. I'm doing everything. I mean, yeah, do I like the story of I work 3 jobs and I'm also opening up a scalar energy healing center? Yeah, I mean, it's a true story. I like that story, but it's funny to me now. I'm just kind of like, oh my God, like you're doing so much. Like, take the extra shavasana in the sun. Why don't you? Like that's a big thing for me when I'm done with my yoga practice outside, now that it's sunny and warm and I'm, making vitamin D, and I just love sunbathing and I love doing yoga in the sun. It's yes, now take 5 minutes and lie there and receive the sun. One of the reasons why I love sleeping in the sun. People, in my generation, we called it laying out. You laid out in the sun to get a tan. And then, of course, tanning centers took that over. And I wouldn't do a tanning center. It's just not my thing. No judgment to people who tan. The thing that I remember as a small child loving about being in the sun, and as cats do this too, is that the sun is very giving. It's constantly giving all the time. So when I am lying in the sun, resting, I'm very conscious. I love the feeling of the sun on my skin. I feel warm, I feel bathed, and I feel supported. And since that's not something that I have with my parents anymore, they're old and they have their own senior life and I have my life. So it's like, the sun's my father. The sun is the support. The sun is the giver. And then I feel like I can just really relax, and surrender is a key word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I watched a little snippet of something that popped up, I think, on my YouTube for you page, and it was a guy whose name I can't remember, of course, but he was basically. Oh, I've seen this guy before actually several times. He's like this old, like kind of cowboy who makes videos. He makes videos essentially just to like help young people grow, which is a whole genre. It's a whole genre of content. He kind of combines like spiritual knowledge, although I would say he doesn't brand himself as a spiritual individual. But I would say that the knowledge that he provides is spiritual knowledge, and I think it's much more valuable than a lot of the spiritually branded knowledge that I have seen floating around on the internet. It's just very common sense stuff about following your heart, your path, listening to yourself, being in tune. This video was pretty simple. It was just, I think there's a snippet of probably a longer video that somebody had cut of him, and it was just literally him being like, just have fun, just be your age, go outside.
Be your age.
Yep.
Okay, what does that mean? Be your age.
It means that as you grow throughout life, your responsibilities are going to change. And it is all a result of the knowledge that you accumulate through your experiences over time. When you're younger, you're in more of a risk taking position because you have more of the clean slate. There's less that you are cemented by. I can do this. I can't do this. I have kids. I don't have kids. I have a house. I don't have a house. You kind of grow more rooted as you grow older. And unless you dedicate your life to sort of preserving that kind of freedom and youth, which a lot of older people do, that's perfectly fine.
I do.
But you also have kids. I wouldn't say that. I would say that you can't ignore the fact that you do have responsibilities.
Oh,
and
no, no,
things
no. We're
that
not
hold
ignoring
you
that.
into
I do have
Yeah.
responsibilities, but what the way that I perceive it or my perspective, which I proved, is that, hey, we're a traveling family. We go together. I mean, I took your two siblings to Peru with me. I was
Yeah.
like, no, we're going to go and do this together. We're going to learn together. And that's one of the reasons why you and your little brother and I live here together is then we go take these family trips. And for us, literally the thing that we're trying to align with is the financial piece of just being able to pick up and go. That's the whole point for me of manifesting an RV that we can live out of in a truck to haul it is so that we can take that on the road. And so for us, it's the financial piece that is the restriction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've actually done, yeah, I do have responsibilities, but I
Mhm.
think I've done pretty well with keeping adventure
Sure.
in the picture with that. And I've never looked
It
at
is-
my age.
I
with
would
that
I would
thing.
say though that there is beyond just the physical tangible things that you accumulate in your life, there is a definite difference in age as you grow, and I've noticed it already. This is not something that is just like made up. This is an energy. There's a different things change as you get older, and I can already see how I'm moving into a space where see, I don't even know how to describe it. But so when he says something like that, like be your age, see that doesn't trigger any aspect of ego in me. That doesn't trigger anything that says like, "Oh, what does he mean by that?" Like, what does that mean that I can't do this when I'm that age? Because I that has nothing to do with it in my opinion. It has everything to do with the sort of laws of nature that just kind of exist and the patterns that humans have created for them. It's not even just humans, all animals, all living things have created for themselves a sort of energetic pattern. And, you can say that when you get to a certain age, you're going to, do this and this and that and this and this and that. And you can hold on to that if you really value that sense of youth or whatever. I don't particularly value that so much that I feel I would want to hold on to that. And I don't think this guy does either. I don't think a lot of these people that I see that I feel are really like really wise and developed. What they are is they're stoics. They've accepted, they've surrendered. They've accepted the fact that as they grow and as they move through life, things change. It is the natural way of things. There's a death and rebirth to all things. Energy, your ability to do certain things, um, things that come and go in your life, matter, all of these things. There's a death and rebirth. So to me, that's what I think when I think about this sort of receiving that you're talking about. And I haven't necessarily mastered it either. I find myself constantly in a sort of balancing act between either too much action or not enough. Um, but I am coming into a space where I'm really beginning to feel the sense of understanding. And age has taught me that, because when I was younger, I was too much in a sense of receiving. I was entitled to receive. I felt that if I could simply think of something hard enough, then it would come to me. It's not true.
Oh no, I
I
mean,
felt
we're in a
that
realm where we have to take action.
mhm, I felt that there were certain things that were meant for me. It's not true.
We
I
would say in Aries, that's in astrology, that's the lower aspect of the Aries
Sure,
arrogance.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt that yeah, there's something that set me apart individually that made me exempt from certain things in life, the natural stages of growth and progression. And as I've gotten older, I've really seen that there is a time in which you really have to take action and work, because really all that you do have is now. I think it's going to be much easier now at 26 to take a lot of action and work much more consistently towards whatever goal I want. I think now is the age where I feel it would be most effective to create a door through which to walk through, as opposed to just waiting for one to show up for me, as opposed to waiting for somebody else to open the door. I feel like at 55, that would be a lot harder for me.
Yeah, there's many, many points here that I can share about. I I was born with a nature, again, it shows up astrologically in my chart. I was born with a nature of giving. I have a very giving energy and a very giving personality. That's how I've been able to raise you three pretty much by myself. Is just the give, the give, the give structure. I have a lot of strength on all levels, as you know. And with that strength, and I'm going to give Nana and Papa a lot of credit for that. They have a lot of strength, and I've inherited a lot of that strength from them and through them. But I also just came in with that strength naturally. And I'm here on this planet to serve, to give, to help people to love and accept themselves and be more present in the now by doing that myself and being the example, but just really being empathetic and doing my best to be kind, which is something I had to work on, to be kind. I didn't find that kindness to humans was natural for me. Kindness to nature is very natural for me. And I include animals in that category. So what I find is that the part of the attraction to your father is he had that. He may still have that. I don't know. I don't know him anymore. But he had that receiving entitlement, that arrogance. It's not something that I was so aware of in the beginning. It's something that I finally kind of took off some of the rose-colored glasses to see. That's kind of a problem. Why would he take that? That's not his. and there's a sense of entitlement, whereas I'm the polar opposite. Give and give and give and give. And so there was, a really great magnetic attraction there. And again, it's about balance because we are both polarities. And it's about finding that constantly finding that balance.
Absolutely.
You never master that balance, not ever.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the cycles of life in Ayurveda and Indian medicine, we have the doshas, Vata and Pitta and Kapha, and the subdoshas, which is a combination of those four, Kapha being earth and water. And we have those cycles in life in Ayurveda of when you're young, and the first 25 years of your life is a Pitta time. That's a time to take action, to make it happen, to forge out into the world. You're growing. You have a lot of energy. You have the highest libido of your entire life. You're the most fertile. That it takes fire to do that. And if you are a person who's more adventurous, you may move a lot. I moved a lot. Then you come into the Vata time where there's more thinking and there's more planning. And again, you're still doing, but you're more thinking and planning about it. And you're planning for your future. You're planning for the Kapha time, the later time. I'm in the Kapha time right now of my life where you're more settled and you want to build roots and things like that. When you have an energy that I have, which is all about movement and change and shifting and growth and new opportunities, and I know, I wouldn't say 100%. I don't want to actually know 100% what's currently trending with millennials and Gen Z or any of that. I don't need to know the latest pop music. I'm sure I've heard it. I don't need to know, I do know the latest fashion, but I don't need to know all that, and I don't need to participate in it, but I know enough about it that I can see younger generations, younger than I am, and talk with younger generations. All of that credit goes to you kids. I mean, if I didn't have you kids, I don't know if I would be interested in the younger generations. I may, because I'm interested in people of all ages. But when you have an energy that really loves to be current, and we've talked about this in past episodes, I'm not sitting around listening to the Doobie Brothers. I'm not sitting around watching episodes of All in the Family and Seinfeld on Netflix over and over again. That's boring. There's nothing to learn from that. I've already experienced that. So I'm going to be way more current. I'm still in the Kapha time of my life. Have I built a foundation? I haven't in the form of like physical foundation. I own everything that I have. I don't have any debt. That's important to me, that I don't have any debt, that I'm debt free. I am, even though I'm in the Kapha time in my life, I'm still kind of in a Vata mindset of I'm planning at some physical roots. And as is typical of a Venus and Mars and Gemini personality, I want to do both. I want to find the permaculture community and co-create that and have the roots, animal farm sanctuary, grow our own food, et cetera, and then be able to walk away from that for however long I want to and go off and travel and talk with people and teach yoga around the world and be with community that's nomadic. And I want to do both. It's totally possible to do both. People do it all the time. And I'm excited about that. But my point is, yes, we go through these algorithms. I'm currently preparing for the Vata time to start again, which will happen literally when our Saturn return comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see what that will bring in, because when you're in, and it'll be my second Saturn return, your first, big changes happen.
Yeah.
And I've already been through one Saturn return, which is when I birthed you, married your father. I know what it can bring. And the receiving piece is, now that I have some experience with it, just like after I gave birth to you and I was ready for Mars, your sibling, because then I was like, well, I've already been through it once. Okay, I'm going to do this birthing, this home water birth differently now.
Mm.
Now I have more confidence. As you talk about getting older, you have more experience. Now I have more experience knowing that when the second Saturn return comes in, it's exciting what big changes are coming in. And so I'm open to receive the change, the support, the abundance. I'm open for it now.
Yeah.
But I just know that universe has these aligned algorithms. Everything has a pattern. And you just be present in the now and enjoy the life that you're living always, knowing it's always changing.
Yeah.
That's the receiving part for me. That's the part that I'm actually learning to accept and master is, and I may never master it in this life. That's okay. I'm learning to accept waiting for the big wave to come. I'm on my surfboard, never surf, but it's kind of a fun analogy. I'm on my surfboard. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Pick me up and take me away so that I can have fun now, being supported and ride the tide.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of analogies for that, I used to imagine when I was younger that, and it's interesting because this all sort of does correlate with the dosha allegories. I used to imagine that I would start down a path, and along the way, I would just receive based on whatever path I chose to go down, right? And as I've gotten older, I've realized that I have no control over when or how much I receive, but I do have control over my direction. And what I've realized is that that is the most important thing. So, where I am is I have a direction that I want to go down, and I am creating a series of baskets, and I'm making sure that the baskets are as big as they possibly can, because at random times, the universe is going to rain down, little golden droplets of water. And I have to have big enough baskets and I want the baskets to be made out of the materials that I like. And the baskets will then catch the water, and those will be what I receive. So the action, to me, as I've come to see it, the action is necessary in order to be able to receive. It's the creating space to receive is taking action. The more creatively you can take action, the more open to receiving you are. So this is why, when we talk about before, just today in the Patreon group with Sarah, we were talking about how you live your life as your gift to God, and I said it's all about overcoming that part of your ego that creates blockages for you. That's really the most important action that you can take, because then receiving opens up for you. When you are able to see any situation that you're in, anytime you're frustrated about anything, and recognize that you are the one who can completely control your direction of that situation. That is what gives you the freedom to be able to receive either more or less easily, right? So if you are stuck in a position of something, and you feel blockaded by other people, other circumstances, you can either choose, if you want to continue to feel blocked or stuck, to remain exactly as you are in that situation, or you can think of a new and unique way to get yourself into a different, way of overcoming that situation. There's an infinite amount of ways to do it, and you have to be able to be pronoic enough. You have to be able to be optimistic and trusting enough to see any opportunity as being a possibility, because then the sky's the limit and you will receive endlessly. And I learned this through creativity. I learned this through art. I learned this through making music. whenever I got blocked is because I only saw one thing that I wanted to make and one way to get there. And I was like, well, now I'm stuck. I guess I just have to sit and make it happen. And I was like, oh, it's going to happen. I just don't know when. And so the universe was like, oh, he says it's going to happen. So it's always going to happen, right? It's never happening.
It's happening. It's current. It's present
So I'm like,
tense.
you know what? I am creatively blocked. Maybe not anymore, you know. Let's see if there's something different. Whenever I run into a creative block now, I just say, let's just turn around and like try something different. I try something completely new. Try something that I've never tried before. That's really where receiving comes in. Action, then receive. That's how I have always seen it.
But that would be more natural for you because you are expressing more through the masculine in this life. And you have a beautiful feminine, but for the masculine, from my observation and my life experience, the masculine needs to focus on taking action first and then receiving. For the feminine, it's more natural for us to receive first and then take action, but we are living in a paternal patriarchal society, a masculine dominant society where we are all told, everybody's told across the board, take action, make the phone call, send the email, knock on the door. And so for the feminine, we've allowed ourselves, there's no victim here. We've allowed ourselves to go into, oh, I got to do what he does. I have to do what that masculine, that male, that man does, what that CEO does. I have to, Phil Knight, just do it. That's what is so dominant in our world because capitalism dominates our world and capitalism is patriarchal. It's very masculine. So for the feminine, we are relearning how to receive first and then take action. It's really easy for me to take action. What I focus on now, and it took me a while to return to this because I've been this way naturally since a child. But again, when I moved to New York City, all that driven masculine energy came in. What I'm relearning is it's not done. I'm still relearning it. In order for me to receive more gracefully, I need to have fun and play. And so I have fun gym equipment in our home. I go out for walks. We have a really cool gym that's open to us. I'm like, do I really need another gym to go to? I don't, but they have fun stuff in there. They have fun toys for me. There's a weight machine and there's an even better treadmill than what I have. And, there's some really cool dumbbells and stuff like that. It's like, oh, so I get distracted with those things. Or like, Buddy, our current stray cat that's outside. That's a really fun distraction for me. It's just like I get to nurture him and give to him, and then that helps me to be open to receive. That's one of the reasons why I got our cats, Pluto and Moon, is because I felt like I was hitting a wall with things weren't flowing for me in Portland enough. I'm doing. I'm doing everything. How come things aren't coming in? Because you're blocking by overdoing and you're imbalanced. And I knew that. And I'm saying, my kids are grown. They don't need me. I've got all this affection. I'm still a mom. I don't think of myself as mommy anymore, but it took a long time for me to get out of the mommy mode. I mean, I was mommy for you until you were pretty much 14 or 15 years old. And cats. I'm Pluto and Moon's mommy, and I'm their mom, and come here, and I get to do all that. And so as I noticed that as I nurture them, nurturing is another aspect of receiving. As I nurture them, things flow in more.
Yeah,
I'm like distracted.
Nurturing is the giving that creates receiving. Because what you're talking about, this is exactly the same thing as what I'm saying. It's and I will say it's like giving and receiving is kind of a chicken and the egg thing because you can't really find necessarily like a beginning or end. I would agree somewhat. I think masculine polarity does on average, like they're taught to take more action, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's more natural for masculine polarity. I think that really where you see humans get blocked up is exactly what you said when you run into a wall continuously. And that's just like what I was saying earlier, when you're not finding ways to let go, because letting go is a part of the process. And you have to repeatedly let go consistently in order to get your mind open enough to see that there are other ways to do the thing that you want to do.
The easiest way to let go is do exactly what we did when we were all children. Go outside and play.
Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
play, have fun, laugh,
You need to figure out
play,
what play is for you.
whatever it means to
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Go outside and play your music. Go outside and run around. Go outside and play with an animal.
Yeah.
But when I say go outside, there's a reason why going outside actually helps you to be open to receive. Even if it's just for like 2 minutes because it's inclement weather or whatever. But get yourself out of the box.
Yeah.
I've found that being in these boxes, as we know, this is not natural for us to have a creative flow. That's why domes are actually ideal. It keeps energy circulating. And so if you're not in a yurt, if you're not in a dome, go outside because energy flows and you're going to be more creative outside. You're going to be more open to receive and you're going to get more incentive to take the action to or within the things that you desire when you go outside. When we're small children, when we're children and we're playing even all the way up to being teenagers and we're rebelling against, oh, you gotta go get a job and get your responsibility as we do in our whole world. Teenagers just always wanting to rebel and to hold on to that. Yeah, I just want to be with my friends and play though. I want to play music. We want to watch the latest music videos. We want to go hang out. I want to talk about boys. I want to talk about girls. That's the fun stuff. And we have to continue that.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to find the balance
Yeah.
between receiving and giving.
I think that simply doing something fun is a great action to take that opens your mind to receiving. And like I find that if I have if I have like a set of new external sort of stimuli, it's a lot easier for me to think of new things. So if I go out on a trip somewhere, if I hang out with friends, like these are all things that give me a lot of new information. You have to be able to intake in order to output, right? Because a lot of the work that you're doing as a creative, and I believe that everyone's a creative, and I think that the act of giving and receiving is easiest to achieve first and foremost on a ethereal level, which is done in the mind creatively. And then from there, you transmit that out. And that's a really, really great way to be able to generate physicality for yourself. In fact, actually, everyone does this. Every single, whatever it is, profession does this. If you are thinking of a solution to something, which is literally the foundation of what business is made of, you know, is creating solutions, then you are transmitting something from the collective consciousness, bringing it down and implementing it into the physical. And the only way you can do that is if you're receiving actively new information. So whether this be having a really great discussion with somebody, going on a nice walk in a new location, going to a party, going to a concert, you could even
taking a walk on a new trail.
sitting and meditating, doing psychedelics. These are all, even just like actually a really interesting one is making art, but not from like a mindset. This can be harder for some people, but for some people it'll be really easy, and it works really well. If you just like, for example, take like a bunch of paint and you just like have a big canvas in front of you and you just kind of like throw stuff at the canvas and you don't really have any intention. It's great if it's like something that you don't take seriously. Like you're like, I'm not a good painter, so I'm going to just go paint, Like something like that. It's like that is both the act of giving and receiving because you're subconsciously taking action and then receiving from yourself. It's really interesting. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but You have to be, you have to find some way, if you're blocked, if you're stuck, to expose yourself to new information. I mean, most people that are blocked, it's because they are stuck in the same pattern day in, day out.
A lot of people, a lot of artists are blocked because they're comparing themselves to what's already out there and they're trying to match that. It's a
Sure.
lot of it.
I'm saying just people, like
Just people
people
in
in
general
general.
are blocked because, again, we get stuck in a rut of what's already been created, and I want that.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to create that. I learned that the things that I want a lot of them because they're already out there. Other people have them, and I want to experience that. But then I ask myself, why aren't they aligning yet? Because we can manifest very quickly now. And if it's something that I've been focused on, like I was focused on tiny homes for years, I aligned with other people's tiny homes. I aligned with cleaning an Airbnb tiny home
Yeah.
for a short time. But I've never aligned with my own tiny home. There's a reason why there's a delay. There's a delay, and what this has taught me, and I've learned this through experience. There's something better than a tiny home for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's something better than, like living nomadically in these certain places. Well, I've learned about living nomadically from other people.
Yeah.
There's something, why hasn't living nomadically aligned for me? I tried living nomadically in South America with your siblings. It didn't work well for them. It worked great for me. I loved it. They didn't like it. And because they were my responsibility at the time, being minors, if it didn't work for them, it didn't work for us. It still works for me. It's not something I want to always live like. I don't always want to live like a nomad. I also want to have a home base. All of that is aligning. And I know that universe also desires this for me because universe wants you to have everything that you want to have because universe wants to experience. And so it's there. I can feel it. I get hints of it. It's coming. It's just all of the balanced components of it.
Sure.
The people, the location, everything. It's all aligning. Because where I'm at right now, this feels very temporary to me.
Me too. Absolutely.
Very temporary. We're in a transitional stage and we're learning about ourselves here. We're learning to let go.
Oh, so much.
We're learning to let go of a lot.
I have, I mean, I think I've been more, this is the most conscious actively on a consistent basis that I've ever been in my life. So I think I'm just more aware of a lot of different things that I wasn't aware of before.
Yeah.
I'm aware of my own growth, and I'm aware of how to take action in the directions that I want. I'm aware of my own ability to self-control and self-regulate.
And you know what's interesting? To interject this?
Of course.
With your father, I wasn't learning how to receive. But with you,
Yeah.
half of your father, I'm learning how to receive.
Why do you think that is?
Because partly you're half my DNA, and I recognize that in you. And second of all, our personalities flow way better than your father's and mine do.
Why is that?
Why? Because you already love yourself and he doesn't love himself, partly. Also, he's got all these wounds. You're my baby.
I think.
And I constantly instill and invest my whole heart and soul into you, and you receive it.
No, I think
because I have since you've been in my uterus.
I think you're right. I think that the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing is that I actively seek to be a different, and I'll say better for me. I actively seek to be a different and better person every single day. I think James doesn't desire that.
I feel like he possibly doesn't think he deserves that.
That could be.
That's my experienced observation from, don't know him now anymore, but I mean, I knew him for a solid 18 years plus. And because even though the higher plan was for you to come, right after we got married. And we were planning you a year later. From the moment I got pregnant with you, I was like, okay, here we go. Here's the parenting we've been wanting our whole life since we were, a baby ourselves. And my intention since I was 4, when I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a mommy and I'm going to have 6 kids. My intention with you and your siblings is I give you everything. And I give you a better life than I had. And I give you a better childhood. And I give you the freedom to flourish as you are. And I'm going to take this amazing way that my parents raised me. Nana was a phenomenal mother. And I'm going to go even further with it. I'm going to take it further. And I'm going to, birth you naturally. And no allopathic medicine, and you're getting all organic food, and I'm with you all the time, and I'm giving you my breast milk, and I'm going to give you all the security so that you can become this beautiful autonomous being, and whatever you want that's creative, I will do my best to provide it for you. And I want you to have as much knowledge as possible, and I've invested, and you and I have just the natural trust that a healthy mother and son have.
I definitely have noticed that. But what's interesting is that, and I wonder, I think my insight to this will improve as I get older. I don't have enough data really to fully compute this yet. This style of parenting that you have done for me and my style of growing up, it has worked really well for me. I don't know that it would necessarily work so great for a lot of the other children that I know, even if they did not experience any of the wounding that they experienced. I feel as though there are some people who more naturally, for example, as I grow older, and I see that you give and you give and you give and you give to me. Now, my response, and this is part of my maturing, is to see that and say, all right, so it's my role not to take advantage of that. And it's my role to become my own person to where I'm not dependent and I'm not exploiting that giving. And, step 1 of that, which is the step that I am, focused on primarily right now, is to be able to provide completely and entirely for myself. So that I can.
And I love that.
Absolutely.
And I nurture you in that. And because I had to compensate for your father's absence and eventual abandonment, I had to step up in that role of provider and nurturer.
Uh-huh.
And that's still cycling for me. And it's good for me when you say to me, no, I'm going to get that myself.
Absolutely.
It's really good for me. And I see that, and I love that. I love that you do that, because for me, that shows your adulting.
Yeah.
Your maturity. Like when Mars said to me, I'm being given an old air conditioning. It hasn't been cleaned. I can't take another summer up in this whatever top floor apartment in dirty downtown Portland without an air conditioner. I can't handle it. Okay. My response to Mars in a text is, check it out. See if the air conditioning is going to work. If it doesn't, we'll get you a new one. But try this first. And Mars just needed to hear that, okay, you're supporting me, but I'm going to see if this one works, that a coworker from work had an extra. It's an old air conditioning. Mars did not clean it. It did turn on and it did work, but Mars is like, it's super dirty. And I'm like, okay, clean it up and keep using it and see how long it lasts, because it's like a 2011 AC. And, if you need a new one, we'll get you a new one. It isn't about my buying an AC for Mars. It's about Mars going, I need to know that I have this support.
Mhm.
And it's my saying, I'm your parent. I support you. I'm here for you,
Yeah.
without it being enabling. And therefore, Mars feels that courage and that support. And it's like, no, I am going to stick with this. This is good. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. It's like learning to roller skate and the parent can't, the kid's falling and the parent can't go, I'm going to pick you up. Hey, just put your foot out in front of you. You got it. You
Yeah.
got it. There you go. That's what I'm now relearning on how to parent all three of you, because life circumstances put us in a situation where I became the only parent
Yeah.
before even the divorce, long before the divorce came on. I became the only parent. And there's this old saying, life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And now that you kids are all young adults, except for Kyan, who's still a teenager, but he's an older teenager. Now that you kids are all young adults, now we've moved into the next phase of, I'm still nurturing, but I'm nurturing more from the balcony.
Yeah.
And you're going, no, I got it. And I get the joy and the gift of now watching your blossoming and blooming, all those seeds that I planted in you three. And I get to watch that. I mean, like, living with your little brother. And I mean, I knew I have to stop buying his groceries so that it'll force him to go out and get a job.
Yeah.
And you helped him to totally get a job. And is he working enough? No, he's not. But it's a start. He's slow. He has a lot of fear. I had absolutely no issues with not buying his groceries for several months. I was like, this is called hard knocks love. This is what you have to do, because if I continue to buy his groceries, that's just enabling him. And I'm not an enabling parent. But as a parent, we have those moments where we still do that.
Mm-hmm.
If we're very loving, caring parents, we have these moments where we're like, need that? I have the means to get that for you. Let me get that for you.
Yeah.
Even if I really don't have, like, I will tell you, as a loving parent, even if I don't have the means to get something for you, I'll try to figure out how to get it for you. You just do that as a parent. And so, as your mom, I am, in my parenting, I'm learning how to receive gracefully, how to receive with ease. And the key practice of that for me is to step back and play and laugh and create joy every day.